is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. This episode is sponsored by Cubed. Cubed is a communications agency that consults with clients to create and communicate great content. The ever-evolving communications landscape means that the capabilities of the team at Cubed go way beyond simple press releases. They develop content-led strategies which entice all media, regardless of its form. Established in January 2011 by Leanne Forshaw-Jones, Cube's first client was Leanne's previous employer, Urban Splash, a business which remains in their customer portfolio today. Fast forward 5 years and Leanne's grown the team with an international client portfolio and some fantastic campaigns under her belt. From strategic PR planning to brand partnerships, from crisis communications to digital influencer outreach, consult with Cube today to find out how they can communicate the interesting stories surrounding your brand using great creative content. To find out more, visit cubedthinking.com or head to the links in the show notes for this episode. Hello and welcome to this episode where we are talking about celebrating ourselves. The first thing that comes to mind for most people if I say, how are you celebrating yourself? You'll be like, why? Why would I be celebrating myself? I hope you wouldn't say that, but I have a suspicion that a lot of you would. The thing is, we never question, do we, when we berate ourselves, when we tell ourselves off, when we get cross with ourselves. We never question that. If we make a mistake, if we embarrass ourselves, if we create a huge cock up, if something goes wrong, straight away we're going to be right in there with the old, oh God, I'm such an idiot and all the rest of it. But what about the rest of the time? When we're not dropping things and tripping over things and scraping the car and just, what about the rest of the time when things are going well? When we're making life happen and it's happening, the way we want it to, or we're overcoming challenges, or we're achieving things, or we're just getting through the day and, everything wasn't a disaster. What about then? Why wouldn't we be celebrating that? Because life's really freaking hard. I don't know anyone who finds it easy. So all the little wins are to be celebrated. And we are to be celebrated for getting up every day and just showing up. Showing up every day and keeping going and doing things. And all the little wins. Anything that you find hard, even if other people find it easy, if you do it, it's to be celebrated. Now, this is the last episode of Series 3 of this podcast, and this whole series since January 2023 has been about our relationship with ourselves. So I'll be telling you in the next episode what's coming next for Series 4, but I want to have a look right now at how far we have come this series, because that is also something to be celebrated. We started off by looking at just meeting ourselves, just hi, pleased to meet you. We talked about being our own best friend, our parent, our lover, our boss. We looked at our values and our goals and wishes and our boundaries and our self-talk. We've talked about loving and seeing and hearing ourselves, allowing our feelings, accepting ourselves, allowing ourselves just to be. We've looked at healthy and unhealthy relationships, protecting our mental and physical, it's easy for you to say, mental and physical health, focusing on what we can control, spending money on ourselves, and healing ourselves. Now, if you have done even a tiny bit of the work from this series, that is a huge cause for celebration, because we've really gone there this series. This is like the really big stuff. It's stuff I work on one-to-one with my clients, and it's hard stuff. It's life-changing, but it's hard stuff. And if you have done even a little bit of the work, I definitely want you to celebrate yourself. But I want you to celebrate yourself anyway. We have this story in our head that celebrations are for particular times, or they have to be earned. Like we celebrate when. But even that it's these arbitrary kind of celebration moments where maybe we might celebrate if we get a new house or have a baby or pass an exam or get a qualification. Fine, those sound like great reasons to celebrate. But what about when we do things, as I say, that are hard for us, that are meaningful to us? You know, I absolutely loathe the supermarket. For my American listeners, the grocery store, I loathe it. I find it sensory hell. I order most of my groceries online. So if I make it round a supermarket and do a successful shopping trip without feeling enormously stressed or losing the plot, that's reason for celebration. And you won't find many, greetings cards for well done, you made it round the supermarket, but, I'd be proud. We can celebrate anything we want. And it's important to do so because it helps to change the narrative in our brain. We're so quick, as I say, to notice the negative, to notice things that we do wrong, to notice things that are going wrong, things we didn't get. And we need to balance that out by celebrating every single thing that we can to change it from a negative narrative to a positive one. So I'm not talking about false positivity or toxic positivity. Look at the bright side, everything's great, even when it's terrible. When things are hard, we feel our feelings. But when things are good, we need to recognise that. And I don't just mean the days when everything's absolutely fantastic, although that's obviously reason for celebration. I mean the days when things are just okay. Like, got through today. Managed to drink a hot cup of coffee. Everything wasn't chaos. The kids didn't try and kill each other at bedtime. Success. Celebrate those wins. Because most of life is not big disasters and it's not big celebrations. It's just life. And if we only focus on the bad things, which is what our brain is wired to do to keep us safe. So if we only focus on the bad things, our narrative is going to be that most of life is pretty, rubbish and boring, a bit ordinary, nothing great. And actually that's not true, is it? We've got so much we can celebrate every day without, negating our emotions about anything, but just we can celebrate all kinds of things. And that should be all about celebrating ourselves and saying thank you to ourselves, showing gratitude towards ourselves. And when we do that, it reduces our resentment towards other people as well. I've talked so much about resentment being a real warning flag for your needs not being met, for something not being right. And when we see other people celebrating themselves, rewarding themselves, treating themselves, we can feel resentful. It's like, oh, well, it's all right for you. But actually, it's up to us to show ourselves that we're worthy of the same. Who else is going to celebrate you if not you? If you fancy, I don't know, a spa day or a pedicure or a nice lunch or some kind of treat, and, we talked about spending money on ourselves, didn't we? It's something that, is within your financial reach. You don't have to wait for a particular reason to do it. And like I say, just getting through the day is a great reason to do it. Let's celebrate whenever we want, however we want. Really, really important. How else can we celebrate ourselves? It's not just about spending money on things. It's not just about big treats. It can be self-gifting, but little things, just getting ourselves a little extra, a little treat, a little something. Perhaps like you would with the kids, if you've had a good day and you're out together and you think, we'll go to the gift shop, get a little treat, get a little something. When do you do that for you? But like I say, it doesn't have to be about money. Recording our wins, writing them down somewhere, writing down what's gone well. Just taking a moment to be like, wow, well done me. Because, I look back over this week and, loads of stuff happened, but I did this. And I achieved that and I overcame that challenge and I'm proud about this. It's a really beneficial exercise just to get the journal out and write down what we would like to celebrate in ourselves, why we're grateful to ourselves. We can celebrate ourselves by just doing something we enjoy. I mean, I love a kitchen disco. That usually makes me feel quite celebratory if I'm dancing around like a lunatic, and it just makes you feel like, yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right at this life business. We can just tell ourselves how proud we are of ourselves. That's really meaningful. But we can also get fun with it, get silly with it. You know, the kids at my children's school, they get like a Star of the Week certificate, which I think was more meaningful when they were tiny. I don't think they're as fussed about it now, but you can make yourself a Star of the Week. You know, where's your little certificate that says, I am my Star of the Week because I did really good meal planning this week and well done me. And why not? Life doesn't have to be serious. We don't have to take it all so seriously. How can we celebrate ourselves in a way that's good fun? You know, we put our kids' artwork up in the kitchen. What can we put up that says, I'm proud of me? Why wouldn't we do these things? Why wouldn't we celebrate ourselves? These things matter because who is celebrating you if not you? And I feel really strongly about this whole series of this podcast. You know, series 1, which is now, you know, which became the book, The No Bullshit Guide to a Happier Life, which you can access via the show notes. That was all about all of the things that I know are really important for a happy and fulfilled business and life. Series 2 was all about the tools that are in our toolkit when we feel like our needs aren't being met, when we're feeling stressed, when we're not feeling our best. What can we do to help ourselves? What are the tools that we can reach for? And then this series has all been about our relationship with ourselves because it is absolutely crucial to everything we do and everything we're trying to achieve. It's the most important relationship of our lives, and it's been a real privilege to walk through it with you and look at it from all these different angles. And it means a lot to end on this note of let's celebrate ourselves. And not because we're better than anyone else, but because we're no worse than anyone else. And because we've all been through stuff. And the people who've been through the hardest things often feel the least likely to celebrate because perhaps they've been through some abuse, they've been through some really hard shit, and they've been told all kinds of stories about what they do and don't deserve. But we all deserve to celebrate ourselves. And the harder the stuff you've been through, the more you should celebrate just showing up every day. But we all should. Because it's not a competition about who's got the hardest life or who's got the easiest life. Because we're only ever living our life. So if something feels hard to me, it's hard to me in my life, in my little world. And I can celebrate if I get it right, or if I try, or if I just show up, or if I get it wrong and I keep showing up. You know, these are all things to be celebrated. When we get something wrong, but we own it and we hold our hands up and we fix it and, you know, we carry on with our day, that's huge. That's definitely to be celebrated. So if you're able to leave a comment on the post for this podcast on my website on clear-day.co.uk, or if you're able to leave a comment on Apple Podcasts, I think that's the only 2 ways you can leave feedback on the podcast itself. I'd love to hear from you as to what you are going to celebrate about yourself, for yourself, and how you're going to do that. It's so good to share that with each other because it can encourage others to do the same. We all deserve so much celebration because, as this series has alluded to, life is really difficult and there's lots we can do to grow and learn and develop and help ourselves towards a happier life, but none of it's easy. You know, I always say, don't I, simple but not easy tips. And this is exactly it. None of it is easy, but it's all something that we can work on together. And celebrating ourselves is a wonderful model as well to show to our children, to show to our friends, to encourage in others. The things we do, we're modelling for other people, especially our children. And we want them to be able to celebrate themselves. And if they don't think that's a grown-up way of being, they won't want to do it because all children want to be grown-ups. So if they see you celebrating yourself and you encourage them to celebrate themselves, they'll think, yeah, that's how we do it. That's how adults do it. That's what we want to teach. So you're also showing other people that this is how we want to be. We don't just want to be focusing on every mistake we've made. We want to focus on every time we didn't make a mistake. We actually got that thing done without making a mistake. We actually got the groceries into the house without spilling the milk all over the floor or whatever it might be. You know, we actually managed to plant everything in the garden without getting it horribly wrong, despite not being green-fingered in any way, shape or form. Talking to myself there. We can celebrate all of these things, and I'd love to hear from you as to how you're going to do that. And as we wrap up this really meaningful series of the podcast, please remember, in every way, shape and form, to treat yourself with excessive kindness. And that's the way we're going to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of our lives. Looking forward to speaking to you again next time. Thank you so much for listening. Did you know that my first book is now available to purchase online? Check out the show notes for details of how to get your hands on a copy. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a review, and don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are up. If you would like to work with me one-to-one or follow more of my content, you can find out how in the show notes. See you next time.